Hey everybody, welcome to Fitless episode number 9.
Damn,
This
we're on nine.
is it's crazy. I'm
Flying
John
by.
D'Ambrosio. I am here with Blaine Dusing as always.
What is
And
going
we have
on?
some good stuff to talk about today because Blaine especially constantly gets approached because, as a trainer, he looks the part when he's attending events. People are going to bombard him with questions, and he was hit with some good ones this 4th of July, so I think they're worth addressing. So let's hear what you got.
Yeah, so I went to a little get together at the HOA clubhouse, and there was, I don't know, a couple hundred people probably, and they gave us burgers and, good times. But, me being me, I always get bombarded with questions, or I just don't know if they just want, the attaboy. I don't think they really want my opinion on things. But I walked away with two takeaways that I also shared in my Facebook group. But I figure if somebody's watching this for the first time, two things that really hit me that do not work. One of the gentlemen up there told me that he is currently working with a trainer and that his trainer modifies the routine and completely switches it up every 2 to 3 weeks for muscle confusion. And he asked me what I thought. And I said, I don't think that's going to work long term. I said, you're not doing anything long enough to track any type of meaningful data. And if you are switching things up every 2 to 3 weeks, two things are going to happen. One, you're not going to see any progress. Or two, you are going to see progress, but you're not going to know what caused the progress because you're doing something new every 2 to 3 weeks, and your body is generally 4 to 6 weeks behind whatever you're doing to it. So if you do like an end result, you're going to have absolutely no feasible idea what got you there.
Okay, so let's talk about that because that was a big thing in the 80s. I know Weider came out with all of their principles, and one of them was the principle of muscle confusion. And I didn't know that was still being taught or believed, but it makes sense if you're looking at it from a viewpoint of you don't know any better, and you say, well, every time I switch up, I get sore, so it must be working. Something must be happening, and my weights are going up. I was doing incline bench last week, and then we switched to decline bench after 2 weeks, and my decline bench went up from week to week, so I must be getting stronger. How is that incorrect science to actually believe? I mean, these things are really happening to people. They are getting better and they are getting sore, but how does that not carry over to while you're actually physically improving?
I mean, one, it's just not, again, it's not long enough to see progress. Two, you could have a lot of neurological improvements pertaining to
Yes.
getting used to lifting weights or whatever movements the trainer's doing. Or every time he switches it up, you might be experiencing easier movements. You said an incline to a decline press. I have very long limbs. Incline bench pressing is a bear for me because my limbs are so long. Decline press, I'm significantly stronger because it's more of a downward push.
Right.
It's more of a natural. I'm stronger on my seated dip than I am on an incline press. So if somebody was having me do an incline press for 2 to 3 weeks and just go over to a seated dip or a decline press, I'd go, dude, I'm up 70 pounds on this lift. Holy cow, I must be getting massive with this muscle confusion. It might be an easier lift, or you just might be genetically better at certain exercises. But switching everything every 2 to 3 weeks is a recipe for disaster. Like I said to this guy, if you've got a winning recipe for lasagna, don't change it. Don't switch up the sauce. Don't switch up the meat. Don't switch up how long you bake it for. Don't switch it up. It just makes no logical sense because I told him I've been doing the same two routines. Yes, I'll vary it if my training partner goes out of town and I throw a wrench into it just for, variation. But I've been doing the same A-B split that Doug Simmons gave me probably 3 years ago, and it's still moving. Every once in a while, it's still moving. Why would I fix it if it's not broken?
And that's key because I think people overlook that. One that was a great point about certain movements are just easier for some people. And that is so true. I mean, limb length, muscle attachments, that all goes into play. Someone could kill it on a leg press, but be horrible at a squat. Not because the squat is that much more effective, but just because their femur to hip ratio is just different and it's just not an efficient movement. So that's big. But then again, every time you exercise, your body is working neurologically to get more efficient at it. So if you want to be a better bench presser, you need to just focus on bench press and you're going to keep getting better. So if you're switching every few weeks, you're going to start, oh, I'm getting better at this because your body is getting neurologically better, and then you're going to switch. I think the wall comes, you're going to hit a point where neurologically your body is as efficient as it can be. Now is when the real muscle growth is going to take place, because the neural efficiency no longer is helping the weights go up. Now the muscles have to actually supercompensate to get stronger by themselves to be able to move that weight. And I think that's such an overlooked point. Oh, I hit a plateau, time to switch up the routine. I hit a plateau. Maybe you need to look at increasing your rest time, or maybe you finally hit the point where now you're going to have to push through and earn every, micro plate you throw on there, because this is when the real muscle growth is occurring.
Yeah, and the longer you do this, the harder the gains come. You got to fight and claw for every, 1/100th of an inch that's going to get put on as far as a muscle thing. But back to the lifting thing, there also might be certain exercises that with your genetic predisposition, you're just not good at, and you won't be. Like at 6'5", I made the mistake of buying a trap bar for a deadlift. I don't need to be deadlifting. Like, what was I thinking? Yes, I got it at a discount. I did it for a while. Are any of the exercises, in addition to the leg press and all the upper body movements I'm doing, stimulating any other musculature that the trap bar is or isn't? No, I don't need to be trap bar deadlifting. Like, I'm too tall for it. I'm too lanky for it. Most guys that are deadlifting are 5'5" to 5'9" because they have the short genetic predisposition to just have to come 8 inches. When I trap bar deadlift, it's like me pulling up a 2-story building. I'm not built for it. I'm just not. So I don't care how strong I get, or I don't care how good I look. I will never, ever be good at a deadlift. I won't.
And that's an important thing for people to realize, because for the longest time, overhead movements have just been my kryptonite. And regardless of how I try to work it, what I try to do, I just am never good at them. It doesn't matter if it's even something like a handstand push-up or something like that. I could do push-ups forever. I'm a great bench presser, but anything overhead, I just cannot excel in that. And it just biomechanically didn't work for me. It affected my shoulders. It was not good. So instead of just constantly hammering away and saying, oh, I have to find a way to do this, you know what? I do an incline press, and an incline press is a very happy medium. I'm still getting the anterior delts. I'm getting the chest, so I'm banging out 2 body parts in one shot. The triceps also get some nice work in there. So that's my happy compromise there. And I'm never going to go back to saying, oh, I'm going to just start trying to do a press behind the neck, which was, back in the old days. I don't know if anybody should be doing that, but even pressing machines. There's some good pressing machines, and some people can really excel. But if you're biomechanically not built for a certain movement, don't force it on yourself just because, well, that's what everybody's doing at the gym, or that's a real gauge for strength, how much you could do overhead or how much you could deadlift. If you're not built for that, and that's really not where you're going to excel, and it's not going to benefit you, why are you pushing yourself to a point where you could get injured and have discomfort just because that's what someone did in a magazine?
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. So I don't know. I don't know if that guy will listen to me, but he'll probably stay with the trainer. And then if you want me to move on to the other lady with the tidbit of advice.
Yeah, I think that was pretty cool, because, this is something that I think it applies to more people than what this trainer had recommended. Because like I said, I knew the principles of muscle confusion was a Weider principle. I didn't realize it was still even being taught by anybody. The fact that a trainer is doing this, I find it's kind of humorous. But what you're about to share next is probably more prevalent. So I think this will be pretty cool.
Yeah, so after the conversation with that gentleman, another woman approached me and prefaced the conversation with one of my least favorite sentences was, my doctor told me. When this comes to diet and nutrition, albeit doctors are very, very intelligent people, but they get little to no education pertaining to exercise and nutrition in med school. So sorry to any doctors out there that I might be offending, but I can't stand when people say, well, my doctor said that I really need to up my cardiovascular activity. And if I have the time to be doing cardio 2 to 3 times a day and really, really minimize calories, get calories down way below 2,000, even if you can sustain 1,500 or 1,300 calories, and do endless amounts of cardio. And then she made the mistake of saying, what do you think? I'm sorry, I'm turning my phone off right now. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
And then she made the mistake of saying, what do you think? And I said, well, I'm stealing a quote from a gentleman in my Facebook group named Tom Kane, who usually says this quote, something to the effect of, all we are cavemen with cell phones. I said, that's all you are. Biologically, we're cavemen with cell phones. So if your body is legitimately expending a monumental amount of energy and you have very, very few calories coming in, In my opinion, the opposite is actually going to take effect because your body is going to panic because it thinks it's foraging for food. It's getting endless amounts of cardio. You're expending energy. You're not bringing anything in. Your cortisol levels are going to spike, and your body is not going to reach homeostasis or a relaxed, setting. And it's going to panic, and your blood sugar is going to drop, and you're going to get crabby, and it's not going to be sustainable. You might be able to pull that off for 2 or 3 weeks, but eventually you're going to snap, and when you snap, you're going to have 5 bowls of pasta and wash it down with a pint of ice cream, and your body's going to convert all of that to body fat because it thinks it's been starving. Right. Versus if you just get in a 400 to 500 calorie deficit per day, not per meal, over the course of the day, drop 500 calories, strength train, walk leisurely, and let your body know things are okay and that you're calm, then your body will burn body fat and build muscle. But if it's constantly freaking out thinking it's foraging for food and it's only getting 1,000 calories to 1,300 calories while you're doing 2 to 3 hour sessions on an elliptical or walking or jogging or whatever she's doing, it's going to be the complete polar opposite effect of what she wants.
Exactly. And this brings us back to what we had talked about a few weeks ago, the INVEST study, where people wore the weighted vest and walked and they were on severe caloric restriction. And what they found is the people who just walked and were on a severe caloric restriction lost just as much weight as a group who wore the vest, and the group who, there was another group who actually weight trained 3 times a week and had the same caloric restriction. But the walking group and the weighted vest group, because they did not resistance train, their weight was a majority of fat and muscle. They lost a lot of muscle. The group that resistance trained lost the same amount of weight, but they lost fat and actually held on to, and some built their muscle. So what is being recommended by this physician, if they're eliminating all form of weight training, this person is setting themselves up to lose muscle and become less healthy as opposed to more healthy, and that's going to negatively affect the entire cardiovascular system. So I would be interested to find out what the logic was, why this was recommended, and not just why they picked these metrics to change, but what was going on with this person that they said, okay, this is what you need to do. I mean, it's kind of ludicrous.
It is, but it does not surprise me one bit, unfortunately.
No, I mean, and that's really why we have this podcast, because there's so much information out there that's being spewed by all sorts of sources, not just influencers, but people who just don't know any better, who think they're giving good information. And this can be trainers, this can be doctors, this can be physical therapists, again, it can be fitness influencers, and they're giving information that is incorrect and in some cases harmful. So we talked about this so often, we just said, you know what, let's let people be a fly on the wall and kind of hear what we're talking about, and then they could take from it what they want. But, we want to educate the masses to realize that exercise and fitness and health are not that complicated. You don't have to do all these wacky extreme things. You just have to be consistent and really make it a part of who you are.
Yes, make it part of your identity. And to piggyback off of what you said, like a lot of these people, I feel when I get approached, whether it be at a picnic or party or whatever, it's a level that I would consider extreme and temporary. It's always something that, in my mind, if you're, it's sustainable for maybe 3 to 6 weeks. And then you're going to fall off. It is not long-term sustainable. It is a level of extremism that they think they can keep up with. And without fail, 90 days later, these people are right back to where they started, if not heavier, and they've quit whatever program. And then the next new shiny object comes along. And round and round it goes. And it's like, oh, well, this really works for me. Then why have you consistently been trying to lose the last 30 pounds for the last 3 years? If this is the one that works for you, what happened to the last 10? You've been trying to lose the last 30 pounds for the last 3 years. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't need to be extreme.
No, but I think being extreme is what catches the attention, and I think that's where the fitness industry and the nutritional supplement industry excel, because they make all of this money on giving these people, like you said, extremes and shiny objects, and people jump on it, and you have some influencer or somebody famous is trying this thing because their trainer put it through them, and they look great, and everyone all of a sudden jumps on it. But again, it's not sustainable. If you're not, I think both of us can probably say that if we look back, yeah, we've changed a few variables, but we've been consistent over the years, maybe even over the decades of, how we eat, how we exercise, the consistency, and we're not having these major pendulum swings back and forth. We may experiment here and there. We may say, oh, this sounds interesting. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. I'm bored doing this. Let me mix it up a little bit. But we're not constantly chasing like, oh, this is like to paraphrase you, look, chasing the white rhino. We're not looking for that to say, oh, where's the silver bullet? Where are we going to go? What can we do to make these massive changes? We understand it's a consistent lifestyle that gets you where you want to be. You're not going to get there overnight. And it's unfortunate people believe, let me take that shot, get that pill, try this, shake weight, or do this ab roller, and I'm going to all of a sudden look fantastic in 3 weeks. It doesn't happen.
No, but I think there is a small component psychologically of that shock and awe value that not only do they want the challenge, but I think, and I could be wholeheartedly incorrect, I think they want to tell their friends and family members and their coworkers, so people are going, ooh and ah, look what John's doing. He's going to this trainer that's murdering him, but he switches it up every 3 weeks, and you're getting the shock and awe value out of that. But real consistency isn't cool. It's not sexy. It's boring as ever. Like, I've done the same things for the past 6 years, but I look good. I feel good. My blood work comes back perfect. Like, why would I change the recipe?
Yeah. And to your point about, people wanting to talk about it, one of the jokes you hear is, one of the first rules about CrossFit is talk about CrossFit, a play on Fight Club. The way we train, I'm not sitting there every time I go out. I train with this cadence, and I only train once every 4. I mean, I don't talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. If somebody asks me, "Wow, you look great. What do you do?" I'm happy to share, but I don't feel the need to like, "Wow, I'm doing something so challenging or so different that I need to, kind of put the line out there and try to get some bites for some praise." So yeah, that could definitely be part of it.
Yeah, especially I think you were training people, but for somebody like me that does this 6 days a week, this is the last thing I want to talk about when I leave my home. I know I'm going to get bombarded with it, but dear God, that'd be like me taking a flight to see you and be like, John, I want to hear about fasting and chiropractic medicine. Now let's go. This is what I'm into, man. I want nonstop chiropractic medicine and intermittent fasting. You'd be like, dude, I do this all day long. I don't want to talk about this.
It's true. I mean, you're happy to share with people who really want to know, but again,
They
there's a
don't.
time and a place.
Yeah, they
And at a
usually don't.
barbecue at an HOA on the 4th of July is really probably, it's a time and the place for them, but not for you.
No, mostly they just want you to validate whatever it is they're doing. Like, oh, that a boy, keep it up. That's what I would recommend, but it's usually
Right.
what I'm not. But it's fine.
It is. And, looking at the other side of the coin, it's great that people are looking to get in shape. They are doing things. They are seeing trainers. And even if it's not optimal, in our opinion, I'd rather see them doing something, it's as long as they're not going to hurt themselves, doing something versus doing nothing. So I can't take that away from people. I'll see people at the gym and it's like, I was in and they were on the same machine from the time I walked in to the time I left. But you know what? They're there. They're trying. They're doing. I wish they would do something different. I wish they would be a little more educated, or their trainers would actually do some research. But again, I'd rather them get up in the morning and show up at the gym and do what they're going to do than just give up on themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people want to look and feel good. They just have a misperceived notion that diving into this world, you need 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And like my guy Ryan today that I started training, he told me he's put on 15 pounds. I don't have a bod pod or anything, but I've been training him for, I don't know, maybe 12 weeks now. I was looking at his charts. He's gone up at least 15 pounds in every exercise. And yes, I understand some of it's neurological in the beginning. But the fact that he was a scrawny 155, he's 170, he said he's never felt better. And before he left today, he's like, dude, when you told me to come here once a week, I figured, man, this is going to be a complete waste of time because I thought I had to be in the gym for 2 hours a day, at least 3 days a week minimum to getting any sort of results. He's like, I cannot believe that this works. He's like, I've never felt better. And he's like, yeah, I'll take walks. If I get antsy, I'll do some push-ups. But this is my workout for the week, man. This is when I really dig in. And other than that, he's put on 15 pounds. He's still super lean. None of it's in his waist. He's getting significantly stronger. And he shows up on Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's it. It doesn't need to be extreme.
Yeah, and that's the key. People can't understand. Again, the fitness industry is to blame for this. The certification courses out there are to blame. Um, but if people realize how simple, and it's not easy. I mean, I'm sure he's, as much as he looks forward to his weekly session, he's probably got a little bit of dread in there too, because you're not playing around. You're not like, oh, let me just do this and talking and joking while you're exercising and then on the phone in between and playing around. You when you're there to work, you're there to work, and you are putting in effort that you probably didn't think you could, but then it's over. 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, it's over, and you're done until next session, which could be 3, 4, 7 days away. It's so worth it.
Yeah, and he's like, I look forward to Tuesdays now. And I said, dude, because it's becoming part of your identity, it's no longer going to be something you do. It's going to be who you are.
Hmm.
And if we want to launch into that, I had a good
Yeah.
conversation with another client that was on Monday. And he, how do I say this kindly? He doesn't take the best care of himself, but he trains his butt off. And he's like, hey man, I really got to show you something. And I've never seen this gentleman in shape because I've had him for a while, but he just doesn't want to modify the diet. He likes to party. It's Naples. I get it. And he was going through his phone and he showed me two pictures that seemed to be from about 10 years ago. And he looked like a Terminator. I mean, he had a shorter haircut. His face was lean. His t-shirt, you could see pectorals popping out. You could see cap shoulders. And excuse my language right now. I looked at this and I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, right, I know. I'm like, no, 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 no. Here's what I want you to do. And this might sound like complete psychological babble. I said, please do this for me. He's like, all right, dude, I'll do it. What are you going to have me do? I said, take these two pictures, print them off, print off multiple copies of them. And I want you to put both of these pictures side by side on your refrigerator, on your pantry, on your liquor cabinet, and on your mirror when you shave and brush your teeth in the morning. And I want you to write above it, not I will look like this. Write down, I do look like this. This is me. And every time you go to see yourself in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth, that's subconsciously hitting you. Every time you go to the fridge or your pantry or your liquor cabinet, you're thinking, am I hungry or am I bored? Do I want a drink or am I just bored and antsy? It will subconsciously sink in, and it sounds like psychobabble, but it's just positive self-talk. Don't say, I will do this. Say, whatever your weight was, I am 185 pounds. This is my physique, and your body eventually, I believe, will get there if you really want it to. But I told him, right now, this is something you're doing. It's not who you are. I'm like, I know it's who I am, just because, one, I've been doing it for so long. Two, like I said, when we go on vacation, the first thing my wife does is tilt her phone towards me and say, here's the gym, because she knows I'm not going to miss. Will missing deter anything? No, but she knows I won't do it. If I have to go at 4 a.m., if I have to go at midnight, it's ingrained in me. It's just something I'm going to do. And I gave him a hypothetical example. I said, here's a crazy hypothetical example. If I got into a car accident today, and for some reason I was put in a coma for a year and put on medication that made me balloon up to 300 pounds, and I woke up and the doctor said, hey man, you're awake, your blood work's good to go, sorry the medication had to do this to you, you can resume normal activity. But I was 300 pounds. I said, I bet you it would take me 4 to 6 months to get back to this because I don't identify with the 300 pounds. That's not me.
Right.
And I would contact you and go, how long can I fast without dying? Because I'm going to do it. Like, I would get back so fast because I don't identify at 300 pounds.
Right.
And once people understand that this is something, it becomes who you are, not something you're doing, then you have the grasp on it.
Yeah, that is really incredible advice, and especially for this guy, because it's not like this is a pipe dream, like, oh, I don't know if I have the genetics, I want to look like this, but he did look like that. If he
Yes.
did, that means he can. That's underneath all that fat. He's working out, so that's there. You strip away the fat, and you're going to see something very close to what was already in that picture. Maybe he needs to build up a little more muscle. Maybe it's been a while, but his potential is there. He could do this. It's just he needs exactly what you told him, to believe in himself, to realize that I was there before, I can do it again. And again, it's harder for somebody who's never had that, someone who's been out of shape their entire life, and say,
Right.
oh, I'm putting up pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu or Mike Menzer. I'm putting those pictures up, and yeah, well, first of all, those are probably not, depending on your genetics and steroid use, you're never going to look like that. But, they can be inspirational, but they can also work the other way. You want to look for examples that are similar to reality for you because that makes it so I could do that. I was looking at, Arnold, I could never be there. I don't think I could. But this guy, I could look like him and he looks freaking fantastic. And why wouldn't I strive for that?
Yeah, I don't know. I could kind of see like the disappointment in his eyes because I'm like, dude, I didn't know you could look like this. Like looking at him now, you're like, I didn't even know he had that type of genetics. But obviously, something happened in his life that made him want food or alcohol more than. But I don't know. I told him to print them off. I told him to put them everywhere in the house and write, this is me. This is who I am. Not, I will get to this. Just
Yeah.
subconsciously say, this is me. Does me grab, open the fridge every 3 hours for a snack? Are you hungry or are you bored? Like, chug a glass of water, read a book, go for a walk. You're probably not hungry.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself is that people eating because they're bored and they think they're hungry. And I think a lot of that is exacerbated by now everybody's on their phone. So you're getting the dopamine hits there, and then the body down regulates because it's just too much. So how else are you going to get the dopamine? Well, you're on your phone, you're getting it there, but it's not amped up enough. Now you got to start snacking, and that's going to kick it up even more. Maybe you'll start vaping. Maybe you'll start, having some booze. And you're doing all these things that are bringing you down into this spot where you don't want to be. But again, that's for another week. But just to touch on the kind of rabbit hole he tripped into and fell down, and then you're like, dude. I mean, the fact that he shared that picture with you,
Yeah.
there was probably a lot of, I don't even know if it was pride at that point because if he was like, yeah, I mean, maybe there was shame. It's like, oh, I used to look like this, and now look at me. It's like, some, poor homeless person. It's like, yeah, I used to have a Lamborghini and live in Beverly Hills, but then I hit the skids. It's kind of like that. So the fact that, you encouraged him, you didn't like, dude, you're a friggin' mess now. What the hell? You said, this is what you need to do because this is you in reality. You're just kind of in a different spot now, but get back to being you. I think you probably did him a huge service.
And I want him to be the best he can be. Another thing, I know we only have 3 minutes left, that I told this Ryan guy today when we were talking about the HIT training and when this becomes who you are versus something you do. I said the other thing that I wholeheartedly believe to be 100% true, I could never scientifically prove this or anything, but I believe that I don't know if it's just HIT training or strength training in general, if HIT isn't your thing and you're just listening, but you're still strength training, whatever. If you're strength training consistently and modifying your diet, I feel like once you dial this in, every other modality of your life gets dialed in. Like, I've never met anybody past 40 years old with a really good physique without everything else. Their marriage is usually good, their business is usually good, their finances are usually good, their houses are generally clean, they're pretty well taken care of. You never meet anybody over 40 that's in really good shape and the rest of their life is in shambles. It just
Yeah.
seems like if you can make it through a HIT workout on your own volition, what else? Okay, what is going to bother me? Some yard work, a meeting, a phone call, paying my bills? Like, everything else seems so much easier than going in there and knowing you have to give 100% of your own volition once or twice a week and take yourself to the absolute max. The rest of life seems far more simplistic. But I could be
Yeah.
wholeheartedly wrong with that, but I don't know anybody that I've seen over 40 that's in great shape that says, yeah, dude, I'm ripped, but I'm homeless. Like, no, usually the
Right.
rest of their lives are in order.
And that's a good point because I think psychologically, when you have control of your body, where you live, everything else kind of has to fall in place because you're not going to let your house go to pot because, well, I look good, but I don't care about this or I don't care about that. It kind of radiates out into every aspect of life, and you just kind of use that same sort of, again, consistency and wanting to have the best or be the best you can be. And that's just so important because again, we want this for everybody. I would love to see people healthier, in shape, and then that having bleed into all other aspects of their life. Like I'm happier, I have
Yes.
better relationships. I have, I'm better with my kids because I don't hate myself. I'm not just so slovenly that I don't care about anything. I don't care about myself. So why would I care about things out of myself if I can't even care about what's inside of me?
Yeah, I think there's a huge carryover, man. Like I said, I can't scientifically prove it, but I think when the bar is raised to a high intensity level type of training, you raise the bar in every other facet of your life, and it just kind of your work performance increases, your relationship gets better, you start managing your finances a little bit cleaner. I don't know. People come in my house like, "Oh my God, is it always this clean?" Yes, I'm methodical, man. I wake up at the same time. I read. I play guitar. I pick up after myself. I don't leave dishes in the sink. I make my bed when I wake up. It's just ingrained in me.
Yeah, and I I think that's a great way to end this. Is really just
Yeah.
kind of start looking at your life, and the bed making thing. I mean, that's you read all these different pointers and studies. Getting up in the morning and just making your bed starts your day totally differently than it would be if you just left it. Covers everywhere, pillow on the floor. So maybe start with something little. Start with that and then build. I mean, all areas of your life are connected with these webs that we can see and not see. So, okay, maybe you're not getting to the gym all the time. Start doing that, but then start doing the little things. So everything kind of snowballs and you end up where you want to be and you don't even realize, wow, how did that happen? It started with me making my bed in the morning. It started with me not leaving dishes in the sink. Little things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that flew by.
It did. It always does.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, we can continue this next time, or maybe we'll have one of our guest spots if some of these trainers ever, pop in to say hi to us.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's always nice to mix it up, get other perspectives, but we're just going to keep going strong with this.
All right, sir.
So,
Well, have a great day, and I will see you again next week.
yes, you will. All right, take care, everybody.